This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. It looks like the new CEO of the Volkswagen Group, Oliver Blume, is finally getting his team in place at the company. He announced a number of executive changes at its various brands, including a new CEO for Audi, as well as a new CEO and CFO at its software division, Cariad. Despite its massive investment, I think it's fair to say that VW is not in the place it would like to be in terms of its EV transition and software development. So these new executive appointments will likely be key in the company's success or its failure. And speaking of VW, the company and its charging brand Elli are trying something unique. They're the first automotive companies to join a marketplace where members can place orders to buy or sell electricity. One advantage is it allows them to choose between a number of energy suppliers. VW will store the electricity that it buys in a stationary energy storage unit that uses 28 battery systems and 34 cell modules from the VW e-Up. It can then sell that electricity back to other marketplace members, or in the future it hopes it could use the system to gain an advantage in offering really competitive charging prices to its customers. Either way, it sees it as an additional revenue stream for Elli. Kia is making a big investment to expand its EV production capability at its plant in the US and Georgia. It's investing $200 million, which will be used to build a production line that makes the all-electric EV9 SUV in the second quarter of next year. That will make 5 models that Kia builds in Georgia, including the Telluride, Sorento, Sportage, and K5. Yesterday, we reported that Audi is considering buying an EV platform from a subsidiary of Chinese automaker SAIC because it's falling behind its competition, and its German rival BMW could really leave Audi in the dust if it hits its sales goal. Automotive News reports that BMW expects to sell 50,000 EVs in the US this year. That's nearly triple the roughly 18,000 EVs it sold in the first half of the year in the US market. So far, the i4 has accounted for about 60% of those sales, but it expects another boost from the i5 that's due out later this year. In 2022, BMW sold about 216,000 EVs globally, so it will be interesting to see where it falls at the end of this year. And a quick follow-up from yesterday. There's more bad news for Chinese EV startup NIO. It's postponing mass production of a battery that it developed in-house. NIO continues to work on the battery, but on a new, slower schedule. NIO did increase its vehicle deliveries significantly in June compared to the previous 2 months, but it's highly unlikely to reach its promised sales goal of 250,000 units this year. So far, it's only delivered about 54,500.
At Schaeffler, we pioneer motion. Electrifying mobility, manufacturing smarter, reducing CO2 emissions, making energy production clean. Schaeffler pioneers motion to advance how the world moves.
Well, this isn't a good sign for Ford. It appears its EV goals are ahead of demand for its electric vehicles. Even though its EV sales are up about 12% in the first half of the year in the US, inventory of its EVs is starting to pile up. According to data from Cloud Theory, dealers were able to sell 86% of Mustang Mach-E's in inventory within 30 days during the second quarter of last year. But this year, that figure dropped to just 27%, even though there are twice as many Mach-E's in inventory. Mach-E sales are down about 2,000 units compared to last year, and Ford blames that on more than half of models still being in transit instead of on dealer lots. However, inventory for the F-150 Lightning is also growing. In the second quarter of last year, Dealers sold 70% of Lightnings in inventory within 30 days, but that's dropped to about 40% in 2023. Bosch is the largest supplier in the world with automotive sales of $50 billion a year, and it's a real powerhouse in automotive technology. But some think the company missed the boat by not getting into EV batteries. But it's not going to do the same with another alternative, hydrogen fuel cells. It's investing €2.5 billion through 2026 and expects to generate €5 billion in revenue by 2030. Bosch is focused on commercial trucks because it believes 1 in 5 heavy trucks will use fuel cells by the end of the decade. It's already making fuel cells in Germany for Nikola's Class 8 semis, and it's making them in China too. NHTSA is proposing a new program to help speed up the deployment of self-driving vehicles in the U.S. Automakers currently have to petition the agency for permission to operate vehicles that don't have a driver or other controls like a steering wheel or pedals. But it's a very slow process, and only 2,500 vehicles are allowed each year. GM, for example, petitioned NHTSA back in February of 2022 to deploy its Cruise Origin shuttle, but it still hasn't received a decision. However, NHTSA says an answer is coming soon. But now NHTSA is also proposing a new program to help get autonomous vehicles on the road even faster. It won't replace the current process, but it doesn't put a cap on how many vehicles are allowed. But there is a catch. Automakers will have to share AV data with the agency under the new program. NHTSA is expected to reveal the proposed rules this fall. Elon Musk wants to sell 20 million Tesla vehicles a year by the end of the decade, but it needs a lot more plans to reach that goal. The automaker has been in talks with the Indian government to open a factory in the country, and now the Times of India reports that it wants to produce 500,000 vehicles a year. Reportedly, the starting price for its EVs will be about $24,000, which is about $6,000 more than the top-selling EV in the country right now, the Tata Nexon. Tesla also wants to use India as an export hub. A group of retired automotive executives decided to help inventors and startups break into the automotive industry. So they started a contest to identify the best innovations out there. Contestants have to pitch their ideas to these execs, sort of like the show Shark Tank, and then they pick the best of the best. It's called the GAMIC, or the Global Automotive and Mobility Innovation Challenge. And we're going to have the top 4 winners on Autoline After Hours this afternoon. And we think you might be blown away by what they've invented. So be sure to tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, either on our website or YouTube channel. But that wraps up today's show. Thank you for watching.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. And by Scheffler, we pioneer motion. We want to know, what drives your testing? OTA, connected car, diagnostics, remote testing. Intrepid Control Systems is here to help you work from anywhere. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.